Hungarian Folk Tales. Jack Crow. Once upon a time, a very long time ago, there lived an elderly couple who had nothing in the world except a young son they called Jack Crow. As soon as the boy was old enough to know his own mind, he told his parents, "I've decided to go out into the world to find work with a wealthy family." His elderly parents did not protest, and so Jack Crow set forth to seek his fortune. When he reached the edge of the village, he caught sight of a swarm of ants marching from one field to the next across the road. And right at the back, he saw a single lame ant that fell by the wayside and could not rejoin its friends. So Jack Crow helped the little ant back to its tiny feet. "Thank you for your kind help," said the ant. "In return for your good deed, I shall give you this whistle. Whenever you're in trouble, blow it, and I'll come to your aid in an instant." So Jack Crow put it in his pocket and continued on his way. As the moon rose in the sky, he found himself in the middle of a vast forest, where a white-haired old man lived in a small house. "Good evening, old man," said Jack. "Good evening to you too, son. What brings you to this distant place?" the old man asked. "I'm looking for a wealthy family who will employ me to work, but now I simply need shelter for the night," Jack Crow told him. So the old man let him stay for the night, and in the morning he gave him some wise advice. "Well, my boy, you should follow the track through the forest, where you will find a vast meadow. There you'll discover a giant mountain. On top of that mountain stands a castle crafted from pure gold, and that is where the king resides. I happen to know that the king needs servants, so I suggest you go there to seek employ." So Jack Crow thanked the old man and continued on his way. When he reached the edge of the forest, he noticed a flock of crows flying around something on the ground a little way ahead. There he found a crow flapping helplessly around because its feathers were heavy with morning dew and it could not get off the ground. Young Jack took pity on the bird, picked it up and petted and patted it until all its feathers had dried. Then the bird said, "Now hear me, Jack Crow. You've done me a good deed, so in turn I shall give you this whistle. If you're ever in trouble, blow it, and I shall come to your aid in an instant." Jack soon came to the foot of the mountain on the shores of the sea. As he stood and stared out, he saw the waves toss a fish from the waters that landed flapping on the ground. Jack took pity on the fish and gently helped it back into the salty water. When the fish was fully recovered, it said, "In return for your good deed, you can expect another. I know you have 2 whistles already, so let me give you a third. If ever you're in trouble, blow it, and I'll come to your aid in an instant." So Jack hurried to the castle on top of the mountain. There the king greeted him and asked, "Well, what can I do for you, my fine fellow?" "I seek work with a wealthy family, your majesty." And the king said, "In my kingdom, 3 days are the same as a full year. The payment is 300 florins, and you can eat and drink your fill. But if you fail to obey my commands, I shall have you executed." On the first day, just after sunset, the king had Jack brought before him and said, "Now hear me, Jack Crow. You are now my servant, so I command you go into the barnyard where you'll find 3 piles of millet. By morning, I want you to sort the seeds from the straw. If you fail to complete my command, I shall have you executed." Jack Crow was worried out of his wits. What should he do? Then he suddenly remembered the whistle the ant had given him, and he blew it. Out of nowhere, a huge swarm of ants appeared. There were so many of them that not even 1,000,000 men could have counted them. "How can we help you, Jack, my friend?" "I've been given a task impossible to complete," Jack said. And he told the ant what the king had commanded. "Have no fear," the ants told him. "We'll get hard to work and sort all the seeds from the straw by morning." By the time the sun had risen in the morning sky, the millet seeds and the straw were in 2 separate stacks. The king said, "I see you've done a good job, so now you are free for the rest of the day. But you must report to me again this evening." When evening came, the king said, "My faithful servant, I command you to go to the front of my castle where my 3 daughters are strolling back and forth. I want you to make sure they come to no harm. If you fail your task, I'll have you executed." Jack did as he was bid and sat down in front of the entrance to the castle to keep watch over the 3 princesses. And as Jack sat there, he grew so bored and tired that he fell fast asleep. And the 3 princesses turned into crows and flew away. Young Jack woke with a start to see the girls had vanished. He was worried out of his wits until he remembered the whistle the crow had given him. He blew the whistle and a flock of crows arrived. "How can we help you, friend?" "I am so very sad because I have a task impossible to complete. The king commanded me to watch over his 3 daughters, but I dozed off and all 3 princesses vanished," Jack replied. "Fear not," the crows told him, "we shall find them for you. Climb up on my back and we'll fly off in search of the 3 lost princesses." So Jack climbed onto the crow's back and they flew off into the distance, but the princesses were nowhere to be found. So then they flew behind the moon, where they saw the princesses in the shape of crows. Then Jack threw 3 reins around the crows' necks and led them slowly back down into the castle courtyard. On the evening of the 3rd day, the king again ordered that Jack be brought before him. The king said, "I command you to go and find the gold ring which fell off my finger today and rolled into the sea. If you fail the task, I'll have you executed." Jack knew that this was impossible to solve alone, and so he ran to the seashore, where he blew on the whistle that the fish had given him. A shoal of fish appeared in an instant and asked, "How can we help you, friend?" There Jack Crow quickly told them what he had been commanded to do. "Don't worry, friend," said the king of the fish. "We shall do our best to find that ring for you." The fish searched and dawn was almost breaking, but they still had not found the ring, until they found it in the belly of an enormous goldfish. "Well, my faithful servant," said the king, "you've done an honest job of serving me. In return, I will give you the hand of one of my daughters in marriage, half of my kingdom, and 3 cartloads of gold for good measure." However, Jack Crow did not want to marry and did not want half the kingdom, for all he wanted was the gold, and the king happily gave it to him. Jack Crow drove the 3 carts home to his beloved parents, where they ate good food and drank fine wine, and all lived happily ever after. Hungarian Folk Tales. Brave Prince Nick. Once upon a time, in a land far away, there was a king. And the king had 3 daughters. Every morning he took a walk in the forest with his daughters, until one morning when a large black cloud appeared in the sky. "King, you must give me your eldest daughter, or else I will snatch the sun from the sky." Then the king said, "If you are a good spirit, come down. If you are a bad spirit, go away." So off the cloud went, and it took the sun with it. The next morning they went for a walk again, and the black cloud appeared again. "King, give me your middle daughter, or else I will take the moon from the sky." The king did not do as the cloud demanded, and so it took the moon. On the third day, the cloud appeared again. "King, give me your youngest daughter, or else I will steal all the stars." The king did not obey, and so it stole the stars. The world was ruled by darkness. One day, Prince Nick went down to the courtyard for water with his younger brother. "Brother, I would bring back the sun, the moon, and all the stars if the king would give me half of his kingdom and his youngest daughter's hand in marriage." The king heard what the prince said, and he sent for him, saying, "Look, my boy, if you do not do as you suggested, I shall have you executed. Give me a good sword, your majesty, and I shall set forth." And off he went through 7 lands. Eventually he came to a silver forest, and there he found a silver bridge. He struck the bridge, and a plank came loose. Then a dragon rode up on a horse, and the horse stumbled. The dragon said, "May dogs drink your blood. I have crossed this bridge for 3 years, but my horse has never stumbled. What happened? Fire for me, water for you, both of us must perish." The dragon climbed down from his horse and said, "Prince Nick, come out from your hiding place under the bridge. I have known you since you were no bigger than a seed, that I would have to do battle with you. How shall we fight? Wrestling, sticks, or swords? Wrestling is for dogs, sticks are for swineherds, swords are for heroes." And they began to fight. They fought and fought until Prince Nick cut off 2 of the dragon's heads. "Prince Nick, spare my last head, and I will return all the stars to you." "Where are they?" "There, under my saddle. Take them." Prince Nick took the stars from under the saddle, chopped the dragon's last head off, and walked away. He soon reached a golden forest. There he went up to a golden bridge. He struck the bridge with his sword. 2 planks broke off, and he hid himself under the bridge. The 7-headed dragon appeared, and its horse stumbled. "I have crossed this bridge for 7 years, but my horse has never stumbled. Why does it do it now? Fire for me, water for you, both of us must perish. Prince Nick, come out from your hiding place under the bridge. I have known since you were no bigger than a seed that I would have to do battle with you. How shall we fight? Wrestling, sticks, or swords? Wrestling is for dogs, sticks are for swineherds, swords are for heroes." They fought and fought until at last Prince Nick cut off 6 of the dragon's heads. "Prince Nick, spare my last head, and I will return you the moon. It is under my saddle." Prince Nick took the moon out and put it with the stars, and then he chopped off the dragon's last head. He walked, and soon Prince Nick arrived at the diamond forest. He went to the diamond bridge and struck it with his sword. 3 planks broke off, and he hid himself. A dragon appeared with 12 heads, and its horse stumbled on the bridge. "What happened? I have never stumbled in all 12 years. Fire for me, water for you, both of us must perish. I have known since you were no bigger than a seed that I would have to do battle with you. How shall we fight? Wrestling, sticks, or swords? Wrestling is for dogs, sticks are for swineherds, swords are for heroes." They fought and fought until Prince Nick cut off 11 of the dragon's heads. "Prince Nick, spare me my last head, and I shall give you the sun. It is there, under my saddle." The dragon had a horse with only 3 legs, but that horse could run faster than any horse with 4. Prince Nick put the stars and the moon under the saddle, mounted the horse with 3 legs, chopped the dragon's last head off, and rode away. As he was riding out of the forest, a little man spoke to him from the top of a tree. "Prince Nick, do you really think that the sun, the moon and the stars are yours to keep?" "Of course. Who else should have them?" "Me." Prince Nick climbed the tree to do battle with the little man. While he was climbing, the little man jumped down into the saddle of the horse with 3 legs, and he rode off. Prince Nick climbed down and followed him, and as he was walking, he met a man. The man was crying. "Why are you crying?" "I'm crying because if I open my eyes, I can see through the world but see no further. Come with me, and you will be able to use your eyes again." They walked on and met another man who sat crying. "Why are you crying?" "I'm crying because if I take one step, I will step over the world, but then can step no further." "Come with us and you will be able to step again." As they walked, they reached a house where the little man lived. But he was not at home. Then Prince Nick said to the first man, "Have a good look around and try to find the little man with the long beard. I can see him. He is sitting on top of a willow tree in the middle of the sea." "Catch the little man for me," he told the second man. And the second man took one step, caught the little man, and took him to Prince Nick by his beard. Then Prince Nick took the sun, the moon, and the stars away from him. He let the stars fly up into the sky, and they lit his way home. And as he journeyed, he let the moon go too, and as he grew close to home, he released the sun, so that he would arrive back in the bright daylight. When the 3 young men arrived home, the king gave them his daughters, and he granted Prince Nick half his kingdom. They had a wonderful wedding, and they all lived happily ever after. Hungarian Folk Tales. King Kitty. Once upon a time there lived a poor old woman, and she had a cat. The cat was so greedy that he poked his nose into every jug and jar. Then the day came when the old woman could not stand the cat's greedy ways any longer, and she said to him, "Get out of my house. You may go wherever you like, but never darken my door again." So the greedy cat was forced to go out into the wide world. The cat walked until he came to a bridge, where he sat and gave a sad meow. And as he sat, he caught sight of a fox sitting nearby. The cat prowled slowly around the fox and rustled the bushes. The fox was terrified, as he had never seen a cat before, and the cat was terrified because he had never seen a fox before, so they both just stood there shaking. Which of us should be in charge? What? You don't know who I am? I'm King Kitty. All the animals are afraid of me. Oh, I am ashamed to say that I have never heard of you before, the fox confessed, and immediately invited King Kitty to his humble home for a sumptuous supper of chicken, duck, goose, and anything else he could find. Please eat more, Your Majesty. Make yourself at home. When the feast was finished, the fox prepared an exceptionally soft bed for King Kitty, who ordered complete silence while he had his royal nap. Get away from here! Don't you know that King Kitty is sleeping in my house? If you wake him now, he's sure to have you executed. Where are you running to? Are the hounds on your tail? Don't ask me, Bear. I was passing Fox's house and he told me to run away because King Kitty sleeps within, and if I woke him, he'd have me executed. The bear pondered. I have travelled to many lands, but I have never heard of such a feline figure. I shall pay a visit to the fox and see this King Kitty for myself. Oh, Bear, please don't go there, because if you wake King Kitty, he'll have you executed and me along with you. This frightened the bear, who ran and ran until he reached the rabbit. Oh my, what will happen if King Kitty wakes up and walks out into the forest? I've got a splendid idea. Let's all invite King Kitty to a banquet. If you trust me, I'll go to the fox and invite His Majesty. All right, I'll go to see if King Kitty is awake and I'll inform him of your wish. Your Majesty, a crow has arrived sent by the animals of the forest to invite you to a royal banquet. King Kitty brushed his white whiskers and said, "Very well, you may go and tell the crow I will attend." As evening came, King Kitty began to make himself ready. He waxed his whiskers and left in the company of his host, the fox. The crow met them to show the way. But the crow was too scared to fly down to the ground, and so instead he flew from tree to tree and called, "This way, please! This way, please!" The other animals soon sighted King Kitty arriving with the fox. "Oh, dearie me, here comes King Kitty. He'll skewer me on his spiky whiskers." But all of a sudden the animals took fright and fled to all four corners of the forest. And if these foolish animals had not run away, my story would have lasted longer still.